listening to Heaving Bosoms, the podcast where two friends squeal about romance books, wonder why things didn't squeak them out, and generally interrogate swoons. We're in the middle of the Dangerous Tides Kickstarter, and honestly, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone who's backed it already. Your support of this project, and more than anything, these authors, means the world to me. Since we started Bonkers, our goal has been to highlight and uplift authors we really love. Like, unleash them, to take big chances and write something that feeds their soul. And the fact that I get to do that while also facilitating a horny pirate art and stories is just ridiculously fulfilling. If you get a chance, check out the project. Backing just the ebooks means you get these stories over 5 months before they will be released by retail sites. You're also getting them for less than they would go for retail together, and you're cutting out the Zon, which, isn't terrible. Today, though, Sabrina and I are back for the middle section of The Bride by Julie Garwood. The start of our conversation is us interrogating the consent of one scene, and while I think we're thoughtful, we do sort of get into the weeds and try to parse our feelings about it. So I just want to put that out there as a slight content warning. But without further ado, let's head back into medieval Highlander times with The Bride by Julie Garwood. Oh, hey, Sabrina. We're back.
Hi, Melody. Our batch recording turned into batch recording because I had to be up at 5:30 in the morning.
And, dogs needed to pee, and, it was 11. You know what I mean?
I did plan ahead. I stopped by the store on my way home and got them treats. And so now I'm just going to bribe them to be quiet with food. And so they're just...
No, we love the pooches here. We get it. They got to live, too.
Yeah. Well, like I always say, hey, it's their house. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Wow.
Boy.
We got to get into this book. We don't know if this is going to be 2 episodes or 3 episodes. And we're just going to, go for the ride. What's up,
We
Sabrina?
are going to go for the ride, but I do have to bring something up. So
tell me everything.
Yesterday when we were recording, and I was like, I do think he would have stopped in that questionable consent scene. I have been noodling on that since then because I was like, he would have stopped. And I went back and I reread those 2 chapters, that sex scene and the it's on TM sex scene after this, which I already knew was problematic as fuck, but I loved it. Maybe that's a hot take.
Problematic? Is it because she was asleep?
Is it because it's somnophilia without consent? Yeah, that's why it's problematic.
He wasn't doing a sex on her. I mean, he was doing a foreplay
balls
on her.
Deep when she woke up.
No, he was not.
He fucking was.
No.
Balls
Are
deep.
you serious?
Yeah.
I swear I've read that scene twice.
Okay.
No.
Yes.
Then she's like, you're killing me with how slowly you're inserting it into my vaginal canal. That's not true. She's 19 in medieval Highlander times.
Jamie didn't remember falling asleep, but she remembered waking up all right. She was having the most delicious dream. She was sleeping on a bed of wildflowers, completely unclothed. She was letting the sun warm her skin into a fever. The erotic heat made her forget to breathe. That familiar pressure was beginning to build up inside her, and that excruciating ache between her thighs was demanding to be appeased. Her moan of desire woke her up. It hadn't been a dream at all. Her mind had been playing tricks on her. Okay. Alec was the sun, fueling the fever in her blood.
Yeah, he's warm town.
We're gonna...
It's warm town.
Y'all just read it. It was hot. He rested between her parted thighs. He was making love to her. Woke up! Balls deep, Melody.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm really glad she was into it.
Me too.
With the hindsight that
However,
she has.
Because
Wow.
I reread that scene multiple times because I was like, did he wake her up like getting dick down? And the answer is yes.
Wowza.
She was did like, and like, I'm not hating. I like a somnophilia. It's just usually there's a
you gotta clear it first.
Pre-consent.
You gotta see if everybody's on the same page.
But we'll be real, it tracks because, like I said, I was noodling and I was like, would he not have stopped? So I did go reread that scene, and you're right. That Highlander would have absolutely been like, you're saying no, but what I'm hearing is yes.
Yeah, I do wonder.
I will still say though, still didn't have a problem with it. Still enjoy what it is.
So yeah, I'm glad you came over to my side because that is in fact the correct side.
Yeah, it's the correct side. Well, I was so dead set in my head. I was like, he would have stopped. He would have done the thing. And then like I was like thinking more about it and thinking about the rest of the book and like just like kind of noodling, and I was like, nope. He would not have.
I mean, from the way it's written and from, her perspective or whatever.
And also literally it's everything we know about him, unless you're saying something different.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if this is like a problematic thing to say, but I don't know. On the one hand, I question whether or not he would have actually stopped. But I do think he's the sort of person who like doesn't like his partner not having a good time. So I do think there's a universe in which like she was really upset and he would be like, oh my God, at the very least, boner is gone. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he would find it hot if she wasn't into it.
Yeah.
Which is why he wants her to be into it so badly.
I would agree with that.
Because he doesn't want to stop. And he knows that he will because he can't help it if she's like actively afraid of him. You know? Mm-hmm. That I don't know. It's a circular logic, but
maybe there's a possibility we are validating ourselves, and I think we should just at this point accept that it's a very problematic scene. But I did not have a problem with it, and neither did you.
Yeah,
and move on from here. So this is a strong start to episode 2.
She wakes up in the morning. He lets her sleep in, and
mind you, listener, this is after the first time because we jumped ahead a little bit with the somnophilia. So, rewind.
Yeah. I don't think I knew the term somnophilia. I don't know why. That's very nice. I learned something today.
I think that's what it's called. I'm pretty sure that's
I'm not questioning you. I'm being educated.
I'm going to committedly say very confidently that it's somnophilia.
That's how you do it.
And if I'm wrong, I'm not.
I'm not. So in the morning, she's like, whoa, it's way past dawn. And he's like, yeah, you were pretty tuckered out last night is what you were. And he can tell that she's like embarrassed about everything. And so he doesn't like, push at first to like ask her how she's feeling or anything. But she wants to go, like...
By the way, he keeps considering him caring about her feelings afflictions. He keeps calling them afflictions. He's like, I'll have to take care of that. I have to stop this.
Yeah, I need to get over this affliction. Yeah.
God.
I don't know why this woman is making me even adjacent to caring. But, like, I gotta shut that down. Yeah. So... she tells him that she's going to get him 2 wedding presents. One is an indulgence for his soul for that dude he did murder. And then 2...
But don't worry, she doesn't need an indulgence. She did no murder relating.
No.
Not her.
So she says that the other gift she's going to give him is a sword. And then she's like, because you don't have one, you nutter butter. And like, I thought as a fighting man, you would have a sword. And so maybe you can get your friend Daniel to like show you how to use it. Because he had a sword and it seemed like he was okay with it.
I'm told it is effective in battle.
I'm told it is effective in battle. And he's just like hunched over his horse, silently shaking with laughter. And she's like, oh, he's so overcome.
It's so
with
touched.
how sweet I am. And she literally thinks to herself, I need to go find Mary because it's like I discovered the secret to the universe. Like kindness begets kindness. And I need to teach her the ways of pleasing her husband. Like it's just, it's incredible.
Get a bitch a sword.
Yeah.
It'd work on me.
Mary's gone.
They've gallivanted. And she's like, are we going to go catch up to them? And he's like, no, they went in another direction because we have to go meet our peoples. Like, we have to go see the clans that we are affiliated with and go see our
allies.
Allies and all of that. And she was like, well, why don't we go with them? And then they can
because
come
you're
with
friends.
us. Yeah, you're friends. And he's like, because his friends are not my friends, and my friends are not his friends.
Yeah, like it's not clear cut in the Highlander politics. And so she's like, hold on a second. Like, why aren't Daniel's allies your allies? Because if he's loyal to you, then all of his friends should be loyal to you too. And he's like, wow, wife, it really seems like you've got the making of a real Scot. And she's like, oh, husband, I would never be able to be a Scot, but you do seem like you have the makings of a true English gentleman. And he thinks that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Even though he's like, I don't know why I'm laughing because that was a horribly offensive thing to say. But anyway, so then she's like, yeah, I'm loyal to you. And so your enemies are my enemies. Do you want to give me the lay of the land? Like enemy wise? It sounds like we might have a lot or something.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, we definitely do. And the ones who are vehement in their hate for all things Kincaid. Oh, it's great. So then part of the journey, they do meet up with also she has the worst sense of direction. Every time she tries to like strike out on her own. It is
so funny because she goes gallivanting off and then he just like goes and like grabs her or her horse and like turns her around. And half the time she like looks at him like, no. And he's like, yes. Yeah, sweetheart. That's the entirely wrong direction because she started when they set off, she was headed off to England and he's like, no.
Yeah.
Come along, lass.
Oh God. It's so good. So on the way, there's like a rustle. Yeah. So there's like a rustle in a tree or whatever. And she's like, is there danger? And he's like, no. But he's gone totally cold and like he won't answer her questions and he's looking off in the distance. And so she's like, there might not be danger, but like there's something. And then out of the trees, it's like that moment in Macbeth when those Highlanders do move a forest to sneak up on the enemy. All these dudes come out of the shadows in a different color plaid. And he's like, you look at me and you do not make eye contact with any of them. And she's like, what? They'll think I'm rude. And he goes, no, they'll think you're subservient. And she's like, but I'm not. Then he goes, but you will be. So she's like, I guess.
And then they start rolling up and literally it says, oh, she'd play the obedient wife all right until she and Alec were alone again. Then she was going to blister his ears. And I'm like,
blister his ears is my favorite.
I love a blister.
I love it. I love a blistered ear.
Yeah.
And so she does look at him the whole time, but while she's like listening to them,
little soft heart is so sad about it though.
Yeah, because while they're speaking Gaelic and, just sort of
and reminder listener, Alec don't know that she speak that Gaelic.
No. So she goes on like a mental spiral. And by the end of the conversation, she has decided that he is ashamed of her because she's hideous. And like, there's no other explanation for why he wouldn't like introduce her to his friends.
His friends also like what a
that's
sweet
what she says.
His friends. It's like
you didn't introduce me to your friends.
Hang on, and that he looks at them funny, and they're at war. Like if there's anything I learned from this book, 1103 Scotland, war is one one
burp
weird...
away.
Yeah.
Honestly, you burp in the wrong person's face accidentally, and
You're
like
at
it's war. It's time. Yeah, it's bananas. And well, and then at the very end, they're like, "Hey, who's that lady?" And then he's like, "My wife." And then they're like, "What's her name?" Like, "Oh, I bet I could chat her up or whatever." And then to answer what's her name, he just yells in the most barbaric, like, shout. He yells, "Mine."
Why did I love it? I
loved it.
What?
I loved it. I hated myself, but I loved it.
It's so fascinating how in a romance novel, things that a main character will do, and I'm like, oh, I love it. Oh, that's so wonderful. It gave me tingles in my heart parts or my brain parts or my pants parts. And then if some motherfucker thought that they could do that IRL, you want to talk about some blistered ears? You got some blistered lots of things. If you did that to me IRL, but like in this book, he was like, mine, like a toy, like a child taking a toy truck in a sandbox. This is mine.
I wanted to be his toy, Sabrina.
I'll be a toy truck.
Yeah.
I am that toy. Yeah.
I'm a dummy, but here we are.
Okay. Me too.
So that night, they're doing a snuggle, and she's like, "Alec, are you mad at me?" She's always asking if he's cross with her or something. And he's like, "No." She's like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then she's like, "Well, I do wonder if, you're going to give me the same instructions around your people as you did around your friends." And he's like, "What in the world are you talking about?" And she's like, "Alec, you just cut the crap. I know that you're ashamed of me, and I know it's because I'm a hideous wretch, and I can't help it, all right? This is how I look." And so am I going to have to be very quiet around your people because I'm used to speaking my mind quite freely? He's like, what? He's like, "Where did you get the idea that I'm ashamed of you? This is so crazy."
You wouldn't let me speak in front of your friends. I couldn't look at them.
You wouldn't introduce me to your friends.
And then Alec because like in his head probably he like, what the actual fuck? Because he rolls up and he's like, yeah, it's because if you made eye contact with them, they would fall deep into your lovely blue eyes. And
they would think your eyes are magical.
And if you stared at them for too long, they would take it as a advance or an invitation, and then I'd have to kill them. And then there would be war.
He says they would challenge me for you, and then there would be a fight, and you don't like the sight of blood. So I was really doing this for you.
I was looking out for you, babe.
Anyway, he's thinking to himself, "I can't wait to bed her or whatever. Like, I can't go another night without bedding her." Because it's been a few nights. Because he's like, "Oh, she's so tender," because the dick was so good or big or, whatever. It's just, she just hadn't done it before. Okay, Alec? Like,
oh, by
get
the
off
way,
yourself.
He did say that they would be at his castle in 3 days.
Yeah.
It has been longer than 3 days at this point. It has been 5 days. And she's like, why are we not there? Well, so she doesn't ask why we're not there yet. But we find out later that it's because he knows that she's sore and she's tired. And so he's slowed down, which is hilarious because she does not see that they have slowed down at all. As far as she's concerned, he is still just pushing.
They're going at a breakneck pace.
Yeah. Like,
in her opinion.
and like, so that's why they held off. But it's also, like you just said, she's tender, she's sore. And so that's why he hasn't dicked her down real good again. But then that night,
golly, everybody's so sleepy horny, and she wakes up and her chemise is all the way off. Julie Garwood, if you had said the chemise was up around her neck, I would have been there with you. But all the way off.
And don't worry, she notices that she had lost her chemise. And I'm like, lost?
Lost? Okay.
Lost implies that you don't know where it went. I'm pretty sure I know exactly where it went, and I'm pretty sure I know exactly who put it there.
I know the culprit, I'll tell you that much. Yeah, and so I just learned today on the podcast, hello everyone, that he was inside her when she woke up. I did not realize that. I thought he was doing a foreplay on her.
No,
when
he
she
was.
woke up.
He rested between her parted thighs.
Making the loves to her.
Uh-huh.
Right there. Wow. Well, she liked it. Okay?
But don't worry, his sexy, ragged breathing and the sweet music of the insistent one pushed most of her resistance away. And I was like, God damn, y'all. Okay, but I didn't hate it. I didn't hate it.
Sorry, everyone. I'm sorry. I'm a monster.
Oh, so but she is a big old horny monster though, because
she's a horny toad.
She's like, oh, I don't want it to hurt. But then he starts like touching on her breasts with his mouth, and she's like, ooh, you know what? I don't really care if it hurts or not. Let's fucking get down to Dick Town. Like, yeah. She's a horny toad, and I'm into it. That horny goat. I support her.
Same. So they ride, and then like finally they're roughly there. She has fallen asleep in her saddle, and so before she falls down, he catches her and puts her on his horse with him, and he throws down her linen shawl. He's not having it anymore. She's going to wear his colors to stay warm.
It's his plaid or the highway, but you don't get the highway because I already murdered those bandits, and
that's right.
This is not a highway for you. You will come with me, little wife.
That's right.
Wear my plaid.
So he's like, you see the smokestack over there or something?
Oh, yeah.
Over that ridge.
Like, where's your house?
Yeah. He's like, we're home. And she's like, Alec, we're in a forest. What are you talking about?
He's like, my God, I married a tree person.
Yeah. But turns out it's just over the way, and it's a gargantuan castle, everyone. And it's a red stone castle, which I thought was interesting. And then she's like, Alec, how many men serve under you? And he's like, I don't know, like 500 or 600. She's like, oh,
that's a lot. I don't know that you know how to count. By the way, this is not the first time that she says she doesn't think he knows how to count. And she's like, oh, what a sweetie. He don't know how to count.
Yeah, and he's like, what are you talking about the Scottish way to count? And she's like, I mean, you did say it would take us 3 days, babe. And like, it's day 6. And he's like, I slowed down for your tender nether parts. Okay. And she's, it's fantastic. So then out of the woodwork, a bunch of kilt-laden, bare-chested, mountainous warriors come out. And she's like, oh, shit. Like,
those aren't gowns. Those are blankets.
But there are blankets, there are nipples, there are knees.
Oh, and my favorite is she goes, how do they keep their breeches rolled above the hem of their plaids? And he's like, they don't. And she's like, then what? And she's like, never mind. And he's like,
I don't want to know.
She's like, I've changed my mind. I don't want to know what they wear underneath. And he's like, oh, but I want to tell you.
Yeah, he definitely wants to tell her. So they meet Gavin. They meet all the boys. And it's very exciting. And then she gets to like the courtyard.
By the way, Gavin is immediately like puppy. He's like,
entranced.
My mistress. I'm in love with this woman.
Yep.
She is the mistress of the house.
I will follow her anywhere. So then she has to gentle her mare in front of all the giant Highlanders, and you can tell that like they're reluctantly impressed or whatever with her horse skills.
Well, because they're all crowding around the little filly, and her little filly's like, nee, and like rearing. And she's like, no.
That horse has never seen so many nipples in its life. You know what I mean?
You think it's ever seen a nipple? I don't know that horse. No. If that horse is from England. That horse has never seen a nipple.
Right. Oh my God. She's just bombarded with nipples on this homecoming. Oh my gosh, poor Wildfire. Yikes. So then he like drapes his plaid over her and he takes her up the stairs and she's like, oh, it's time It's time for him to make his big speech.
He's going to introduce his new wife.
Oh, and he's going to tell him all the wonderful things about me. Maybe he'll mention that magical eye shit and like other stuff that's great about me. Because I've been itching for these compliments and they have not been
she
forthcoming.
wants that praise. She wants that praise. She wants to be told that she's been a good girl.
Yes. And
then he stands at the top of the stairs and he looks out over his hundreds and hundreds of men and all of their nipples. And he says,
all of them.
My wife.
Period. The end.
And then he turns around and takes her inside, and she's like, "Wait, whoa, hey!"
And they're cheering. Yeah. So she can't be like, "What the fuck?" Because she doesn't want him to know she speaks Gaelic, and so she's like, "What did you just say to them?" And he's like, "I told them you were English." And she's like, "Well, that's a fucking lie." And she's like, "Oh yeah, they're cheering because you told them I was English."
Well, and also like, there's no way that the statement was more than a word long. Like,
no. I mean, Gaelic is wild. So
I know it is.
Well, honestly, actually don't
But like
know,
you have it, like wife is a noun, my is a possessive. So I'll bet like a lot of languages, that's going to be a single word with a possessive add-on somewhere in there. Like, I don't speak Gaelic. I am not Jamie. So like, plus, hoodles.
But also, Alec, Englishman or English person in Gaelic is an insult. So any English person who's even remotely familiar with Scottish people would know that it's Sassenach. Yeah. Like, whatever. So anyway, she's like, "Oh yeah, they're cheering because I'm English." And he goes, "No, that's why they're screaming." She's like, "This asshole."
She's like, "Fuck this dude."
She does find it very charming though, and I don't blame her.
He's a rascal. She mentions that he's a rascal, and she likes a smug, grand rascal. And you know what?
Yeah.
I do too, Jamie.
I'm not going to throw stones. Like,
not in this glass
got no
house.
business throwing stones at that. I'll tell you that much. You put an arrogant rascal in front of me? Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Who knows? Yikes. So they go into like the Great Hall or whatever, and he's getting all the reports from all the bros. And she sees like a screen at the back. And she's like, "Oh, no, it couldn't possibly be," because they're like, "We're going to give you a bath or whatever." And she sees the servants taking in
the Great Hall. This is in the middle of the Great Hall, by the way. Like,
yeah. It's like
there's
in one
doors,
corner
by
of
the way,
Great
upstairs.
Hall.
Upstairs there are doors. There are clearly rooms in this building.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But he has made himself a blanket fort in the Great Hall, and like that's where he sleeps.
Mm-hmm. That's
Great
where
Hall
baths are taken.
Oh, yeah.
That is like...
That's where sex is had. Okay? All right. Everybody's just trying to eat mutton. Minding their own goddamn Scottish
makes
business.
Her sick.
She hates
can't
a mutton.
Handle the mutton. And at one point he's like, "You will eat this mutton." And she's
You're
like,
eat this protein.
"No, the fuck I won't. There's plenty of other things here that I can eat." And he's like, "You're gonna eat this mutton, wife?" And she's like, "If you want me to gank all over your feet, then sure.
Honestly,
fine. I'll eat that mutton."
You want me to projectile vomit in front of your warriors? That's what you want today?
All over them? All over you? All over the stupid mutton? Oh, look, it's our mistress that we're not sure how we feel about. What is it?
All I can think about is that show with Drew Barrymore where she turns into like a sentient zombie. It was a Netflix show that maybe went like 1 or 2 seasons. No.
Oh, Santa Clarita Diet.
That's the one.
God,
that's the one.
Why did I say iZombie? That is definitely not Drew Barrymore.
It's also a zombie show. Whatevs. No, but the way that they projectile vomit when they first turn into zombie, that's all I can think about now.
Horrifying. Truly horrifying.
It's incredible. Yeah, so anyway, she's like, "Well, this is going to change. I don't know when and I don't know how, but like, I'm not sleeping in a fucking public blanket fort for the rest of my goddamn life.
I'm not melody recording."
Yeah, that is for sound purposes only. Okay?
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. But like, let's be real. Those sounds, they don't go stay back there. Everyone's going to be able to hear. Everyone's going to be able to hear everything. You can't.
Absolutely.
Wait. Oh my God.
You think they've got a cargo blanket putting the barrier between them? No, it's a screen.
Also, like, it's cold. That fire,
God,
she makes the comment that it's so cold in the Great Hall, even though there's a giant fire. And, like, I mean, okay, yeah, I get it. Alec can come be her, like, body warmth. But, like,
sure,
what if
but,
Alec's
like,
not in the bed?
Lasts so long.
He ain't in the bed. He ain't in the bed yet. She gotta go take a cold-ass bath and then crawl under the covers.
Oh. No, and like in a Highland winter?
Man, this is 1100 CE. And
that's the one.
Somebody gets pneumonia, you done.
They're dead.
That's it. Oh, actually, we're about to learn all about the fucked up. Yeah, we're getting there.
Oh, shit. You're right. So,
because that happens to. Oh, by the way, listener.
Yes,
so we talked about how it is like the first half of the book is like 20% of the plot. We're starting. We are getting started on bonkers apeshit banana towns plots. Just
it's gonna be great.
Boom, from like paragraph to paragraph, from page to page. It is just
coming at you.
Boom,
it's
boom,
a bombardment.
So get ready. You need to be aware that we are getting to the point where you are going to be like, wow, this has taken like 3 months of the book. No. This is like
1 week.
2.5 days. Maybe.
Yeah. So, okay, the next thing that happens is at dinner, she does turn around and she's like, the fuck? Because the whole wall is covered in weapons.
Swords!
Including, but not limited to, no less than 5 swords. One of them is jewel encrusted. Okay. Yeah. And she won't even speak to him about it. She goes, Gavin, are those my husband's swords? And he's like, yeah. He like doesn't know what to do with this. And she's like, interesting. Gavin, in England, when a man and a woman are married, everything that is his is hers. Is that how it works in the Highlands too? And he's like, yeah. She's like, go get me that sword. I want it. It's mine. And so Alex starts just cracking up. And he's like, you wouldn't even be able to lift that sword. Like, it's a medieval broadsword, man. There's no way. And she's like, interesting. I wonder if I could lift a dagger with my tiny lady hands. And he's like, yeah, but we could get that out of your puny hands so easily. And she's like, Alec, do you think I could hold on to a dagger in our bed while you're sleeping? And then she goes, sweet dreams, husband.
And meanwhile, his people are like watching her just like agape. They're like, oh.
Gavin he literally goes, I don't know if I'm misunderstanding this, but did she just threaten your life?
Kill you?
Like, and he's like, oh yeah, she totes did.
I love it.
Cracking up. Like, it's fantastic.
Oh yeah, he gets horny town when she threatens him. He's like, oh man, I can't wait to.
He loves it when she shows her grit, Sabrina. Okay,
God,
he loves that grit. Yeah,
I do love a grit. I feel that.
So then there's like talk about a missing man. And she's like, maybe he's just like gone to TJ Maxx or something. And they're like, no, Angus would not. Like, he knows that it's an affront to me, the Laird, to not show up. He's super dead. And like, there are people going to find his body. And she's very like, could we just approach this with a tiny bit of hope? Maybe everyone? Like, there's a chance that he's still alive. And they're like, oh, no. He's absolutely dead.
There's no possible way. This man is super dead. Absolutely dead. No coming back from the dead.
Never. And like, we're making the funeral arrangements. His wife, I've already started betrothing his wife to the next guy who she's gonna marry.
They don't fuck around in the islands.
No.
But so they're like doing that, and so she ends up going to bed. Okay, so she ends up going to sleep.
She takes a bath.
She realizes she does her little bath, and she's trying to be quiet. She's like, soft, splishy splash, because everybody is still out there eating their mutton. soft, washy wash. And then she like pops out and she's freezing and she goes and like crawls into bed into there. And I did have a thought.
Tell me everything.
What did we think the blanket situation was in 1100?
Oh, it's scratchy. Is what I'm gonna say. Also, like, it's a straw mattress.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Oh yeah. You definitely hear them little miceys scritching around inside of there.
Like, if they're lucky, they've got a goose feather pillow. But that's like
if
real lucky.
And like, you want to talk about like, so I have a weighted blanket. I love a weighted blanket.
Oh, nice.
Love a weighted blanket.
Mm-hmm.
With how cold it gets in that big old drafty ass castle, you don't need a special weighted blanket because you probably have 3 feet of blankie on you.
Absolutely. And furs. Probably.
I was thinking that this was going to be a furs situation. I was like, you don't need to live on a nice planet when you live in 1100 medieval Scotland.
You do live on the ice planet in 1100 Scotland.
This is the ice planet, baby. There's just no spurs.
Yeah. These bitches just don't come with spurs. The fuck?
But like, it's not like she's missing out because apparently Alec is like sex god. So,
you know, he does his work.
He does what,
you know.
He does what he can.
He puts the effort in, you know.
He got a little thumb action. And then we have another
wakes up.
Oh, well, wait.
Tell me everything.
That, so
tell me.
That chapter ends and we get another insight into italicized crazy pants murder person. And let me tell you, at this point, we have met Marcus. We also met Elaine.
Edith.
Oh, nope, that's the name.
Elizabeth, Edith, and Annie.
Yes, we met all 4 of these people. Marcus is Edith's brother. And Edith, we learned this later, but Edith is Helena's cousin.
I had a hard time with this.
Annie is
Helena's
sister, younger sister. And this.
And like, Annie was betrothed to Alec at first, but then it does turn out that she might be a little bit developmentally delayed.
Yes.
And then Helena's
died.
Husband dies, and she needs a father for the bairn.
This is all things that we've learned throughout the book, but this is when we first meet them. And Edith is fucking pissed. She got angry fucking look on her face.
Edith and Marcus are not having
also,
it.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God. Marcus is the crazy asshole that murder-lated.
I thought it was Edith.
I fully thought it was Marcus at first. But then I switched to Edith, and let me tell you, I was not expecting.
I was expecting by that point. Because they did too much.
Guess
Edith.
what? At this point, this entire book, I forgot there was murder-lating happening because I was so distracted by all the other bonkers bullshit crazy pants shit that was going on.
Yeah, that's fair. That's absolutely fair.
I was like, murder? There was a murder?
And you had to do a rewind in your brain.
I was like, oh yeah, you're right. There was a murder. Okay.
Yeah. And basically, this time, the person, the murderer, in the inner monologue is like, oh, so he brings a bride to the house, and I don't even care about taking a place of anyone, taking my rightful place. It's all about pain now. I'm gonna make him pay in pain. And like, it's a lot.
And the murderer is like, I'm not even going to wait to kill her now.
Oh no.
Like, because it's clear that he already cares for her, which like, it's true. Alec, you big fucking doofus. You are so, like, Alec is like,
You're not slick, Alec.
I don't like this lady. I just like the nethers. That's all I'm interested in. And it's like, you like the lower nethers, but you also like the soft.
You like the upper nethers.
Chest nethers. And not
you love
boobs,
the squishy brain
the
parts.
Heart.
You love the smart mouth.
You just love everything about your smart Alecky. Smart Alec.
Oh boy!
I'm sorry, I did not mean to do that. That was unintentional. But you like it,
no? But and it's funny because they keep on. There continues to be other characters that are like, sounds like you're a husband who likes his wife, and he's like, please,
no, that's
I'm a tough Highlander man. Honestly,
what's that?
Yeah, but you're not slick, Alec. Everybody sees it, okay? So then
she goes to bed. She wakes up.
Whisper, whisper in the great hall. There's like through the screen. And she's like, I wonder why there's a meeting happening outside of my bedroom.
Inside of my bedroom. So she comes around that screen and she sees everybody around a table with a man on the table, and the priest is there, Father Murdoch, and she's
doing a last rite.
And she's like, oh my God, they found Angus, he's dead. So she walks up to comfort her husband, to be there for her. She's like, I'm gonna be there for Alec. And then she gets up there, and I don't know if y'all remember, but Jamie is a little healer, and 1100
she does a heal on people.
CE. And she comes around and she's looking at it, and then she sees him breathe, and then she sees him groan, and then she sees him like adjust, because like, oh God, totally agony. He grimaces.
Yeah, he grimaces, exactly.
Yeah, yep. That's the word. And she's like, that man
she taps Alec
dead.
on the shoulder. Like, yeah, and it's adorable. She taps him on the shoulder, and he turns around to be like, who's disturbing me in my time of mourning? Sees it's her, and then like blocks her view. And she's like,
she doesn't like blood, remember?
Yeah. He's got a big old gash on his chest. And she's like, hey, is that Angus? And he's like, yeah, he's dead. No, he's gone. And she's like, he's not dead. I saw him breathe. And he goes, well, he's dying. She's like, we have this weird tradition in England where we don't mourn someone until they're actually dead. Yeah. Do you want to try that out here?
And he's like, that's not a thing. We've already started building the box.
Honestly, building the casket. Yes. And she keeps on like trying to look around him to like check Angus again. And he's like shielding her. And she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, there's blood. And she's like, God damn it, Alec, fine. And so she goes away to get her stuff. He thinks she's going back to bed because he's reprimanded her.
And he's like, what are you doing? So she goes off and gets her stuff. She comes back with all of her tinctures and her pots and her all of these things
and her powders.
And she comes back around and she tries to walk past him and he tries to stop her. And he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm going to take care of him with or without your permission. Be gone. And like just marches on towards. And Father Murdoch, by the way, this like coffee phlegmy old man is like, what is happening here? What is happening here, my child?
Father Murdoch is an absolute gem.
Father Murdoch.
Father Murdoch is everybody's favorite godfather.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. And like, so we will get to the indulgences, but that entire line kills me. So she's like rolling it. Oh, so Alec's like, no, you can't go heal him. You can't do that. That man is dead. There's nothing we can do. And she's like, did I tell you how to fight those bandits? Did I tell you how to do that? And he was like, well, no.
He's like,
and she was like, you're right. Of course not. Of course I didn't, because I don't know shit about fighting bandits, but I do know shit about healing. So back up, buddy.
So please, she realizes that like yelling at him in front of his soldiers is not the right way to go about it. And so she's like, I'm going to hit you with this logic. And she's going to go, so please, Alec, please let me try. Even if I try and it doesn't do anything, it won't do any harm. You think he's going to die anyway. So just like, let a bitch try. And he's like, very reluctantly, like, okay. And all the soldiers around him are fucking pissed. They see this as impertinent. They see this as like stepping in places she shouldn't be. They see it as disrespectful. It's bananas.
Well, especially because as far as they're concerned, they've already gone through the 5 stages of grief. They know that dude is dead. And like, so they have all these feelings and they're like, why are you getting in the way of him being deaded? Okay, just let him go in peace. And she's like, no, I will not, because I know how to fix this. So she rolls up and she starts barking orders. She's a little general in that great hall. She's like, no.
And Gavin is here for it.
Oh yeah, Gavin's like, what can I help you? His tail is wagging.
A human stool?
His tail is wagging. His little ears are perked. He's like, how can I help you, ma'am? How can I help you, mistress? And so she's like, go get me some wood. I need I need 2 steaks. I also need 3 socks. I need this. I need that. I need water. Give me water, boiling water. And then she does do the thing. She's like, there ain't gonna be no bacteria in this motherfucker. So she's like, gotta get that speck of dirt out. Don't know why, because 1100 Scotland, but me ma always told me that I need to get all that dirt out. No dirt. Gotta flush it. Gotta rinse it. So she does that. And so she goes ahead and and then she feeds Angus this.
It's like 1100 laudanum. or something.
Yeah.
It makes him sleepy and takes the pain away.
Uh-huh.
And they're all like, he's already asleep. And she's like, no,
not
he's
enough.
just in an incredible amount of pain. Like, this is shock. We need him asleep. So she does that. Then she Father Murdoch is in the corner just hacking out his lungs.
Phlegmy.
So they think she's getting another thing for Angus, but she's really just making a cough potion for Father Murdoch. And she's like, drink this, bud. You're going to feel a lot better.
You're going to feel so good.
Meanwhile, Angus's distraught wife comes over and she's like, I would like to help you too.
Let me help.
And yeah. And Jamie's
Elizabeth.
I would love to have your help. I would be honored to have your help. Please. Gets her involved so that she's not just rocking in a corner. She has to set the broken arm. So she gets the boys in on that. And then she has to clean out the chest wound. And then there's might be something else I'm forgetting, but really,
and at one point, I don't remember exactly when this is, but she, it was when she was getting ready to give Gavin the drink to, no, not Gavin, Angus the drink to go to sleep. Cause she's like, hey, Angus. No response.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Angus. And she just progressively gets louder. And then she's holding his face and just screaming in his face, Angus, I need you to look at me. And everyone's staring at her why are you screaming at a dead man?
Yeah. But he does open those eyes. He does. And he does drink that
potion.
And
she's okay, sweetheart. I'm going to okay, honey, we're going to feed you this.
You just relax, go to bed.
Sleep. Think about murdering all those Englishmen.
Yeah. It's really cute.
And he closed his eyes, probably imagining just how many Englishmen he would
just
kill.
Counting the Englishmen. He's going to murderate. Oh, yeah. It's so beautiful.
We're not going to count those fat sheep. We're not going to count those strong horses. We're not going to count those soft women. We are going to count those murdered Englishmen.
That's right.
And you know what?
And the other thing, he asks if he's in heaven, and she's like, no, Angus, you're not. And then he goes, oh, no. No, I thought it was heaven, but it must be hell because you're English. And
then she puts her little mouth up to his ear and puts a little burr in her voice and speaks to him in Gaelic. And
she's like, don't worry, you're in Scott's hands. Go to sleep now. Oh. And she's like, he must have been out of his mind because my burr was terrible.
Bad.
But it did the trick.
Yep.
Yep. She actually sounded like the Lucky Charm leprechaun, but it's fine. It worked. So
that's such a visceral description.
So listen, it works. She does it. She does magical healing on him. And this wins over all of the soldiers.
Everybody.
Yeah. By the time morning comes, she's kneeling or she's sort of posted up beside his bed on the ground. Oh, sleeping on his mattress.
Hang on, though. Alec, that little butthole, he's like, all right, Elizabeth, go to bed. And she's like, oh yeah. Okay, fine. Yeah. And Jamie's like, no, if you were hurt and deaded and everybody was like, oh yeah, he's dead, but I saved you, I would not leave your fucking side. Elizabeth is sleeping in the Great Hall, you big buffoon. And he's like, but, and she's like, no, but, so go get your stuff, Elizabeth. You're sleeping here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so Elizabeth is immediately on side. Mm-hmm. And then, so she's laying with her head on Angus's mattress, by his thigh, and she's holding his hand.
He's definitely still on that raw wood table. There's no mattress here.
Yeah, you're totally right. You're absolutely right. She's holding his hand because he keeps on trying to scratch himself with his broken arm. And she doesn't know this, but all of the soldiers file in, and then they get on a knee and they bow their heads. And Alec is like, they're not doing that to Angus because Angus is their equal. They're pledging their fealty and their loyalty to Lady Kincaid.
Yeah.
She did it. And they were thinking it would take a while. And she just did it immediately. Yeah. She can, because this bitch can sleep anywhere and I fucking love her.
I have never identified. So there is, okay, I have a story about sleeping anywhere.
Tell me everything.
So, as we know, college kids, they'll sleep anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, there was a little thing, a team I was a part of when I was younger. And I have pictures of this, but we had some broken rolly chairs where the back was broken off and the arms were broken off. And so when I wanted some quiet time, I would go into the telecommunications lab, which was less frequently just like visited, and I would lay down on all three of them and roll myself under the desk. So I would just like sleep there and like corpse pose underneath this desk. And there were multiple times where I would just pass out. There's full-on meetings happening in the other room. People think there was nobody in the building. And I'm just like passed out underneath this thing. And then I'd like squirk, squeak myself back out from under to the table. And you could see into this room from the conference area. And like they'd hear me like rolling underneath. And they'd like turn around and they'd be like, what is
happening? What's happening over there?
Or even better, I'd scare the piss out of them because they would sit down in a chair to come up to the telecommunications computer,
noes.
and they'd bump into me and I'd be like, and they'd be like, oh my God. What it got to the point where they're like, Sabrina, you cannot sleep on that part of the table. We put people there that are not you, people doing jobs. And like, I would just like to say that Jamie and I, we are the same person. We will sleep where we need to sleep.
I have nearly missed multiple connecting flights because I've just put my bag down, put my head on my bag, and passed the fuck out. I usually do it by the desk after speaking with the people at the desk. And I started doing that because then most of the time they would be like,
they know
wait
your
a second.
face. They're like,
wasn't she supposed to be on that plane? And they'll wake me up. It's really nice.
Yep. I do the same thing.
I've completely almost missed multiple planes. It's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So listen, she's got everybody's loyalty now.
She wakes up.
Yeah.
I lost my spot.
Do you have more to that sentence?
No, I did, but I
don't. Oh, she talks about the indulgences with Father Murdoch. But first it says, I'm sorry. So then my note is, Marcus, okay, she gets the trust of warriors. Marcus is still dubious. And Annie is surprised that Jamie didn't want to marry Alec. She's like, but anybody would be so lucky to marry you.
Oh my God.
And it's a whole thing. Mm-hmm.
Melody.
Yeah.
You're right. How did I not?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? Right. It's because she kept on describing her as childlike.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because I think people still treated her that way, even if she wasn't necessarily as childlike as they pegged her. You know what I mean? Anyway, so this is where it says, in the first week, she started 3 wars. And then we get to find out, a series of events happens where we find out how all 3 of these wars started. But first, she comes out and she's like, okay, Father Murdoch, I am married to a very bad boy.
He did not wake me up for mass. I am sorry. He did not wake me up for mass. And so I have an indulgence for you. So she gives him one of her hard-earned shillings. She only has 11 of them. And so she gives him a hard-earned shilling. And he's like, what is this? And she's like, it's an indulgence.
She's like, for my soul.
I'm paying you for money for my sins.
Yes.
And he's like,
he's like,
what?
Oh,
that's weird.
He goes, you're very devout, aren't you, Lady Kincaid? And she's like, oh no. I just had this asshole for a priest. Yeah. And he was mean. And he was creative.
And this is when we learn about all sorts of shit that he used to do and all the shillings. And Father Murdoch this entire time is just watching her what?
He's just what in the world?
She's about to rock the fuck out of this boat.
Yeah. Yeah, because A, they don't use coins in the Highlands, I guess. And then
he's
B,
what do I need with this money?
He keeps on being like, chill, man. We're not that strict
not that
here.
Big of a deal.
Yeah, we're way
But she's
more
like,
chill.
No, you have to take the shilling. You have to take the indulgence. And actually,
and then
I owe you more indulgences for Alec murdering.
Well, and she's like, and actually, now that I think about it, he's the one who didn't wake me up.
It's his sin that I missed mass. And also, he must have missed mass too.
Yeah. So she's just like, she's making it rain on this poor priest. He has no idea what to do about it.
He's like, you really don't have to give me the money. You don't have to give me the money, but you darling sweet thing, you naive little baby. And so he takes the money and he puts it in, and he's like, I guess I'll figure out what the fuck to do with this cash later. Like,
right.
Okay.
Right. And so then yeah, go ahead.
And so then she's like, okay, it's time to get dressed and all of those things. And so she gets all dressed up. She's pinching her cheeks to give her a little bit of color, and she's brushing her hair, and she goes to see how Angus is doing, and yada yada yada. And then and also Father Murdoch feels better after he gets that potion that she gave him last night. And she's like, here's more. She's like, I'm going to continue fixing them. And they're talking, and she's like,
I'm going to make you a medieval Vicks Vapo rub for your chest.
And you're going to smell like you died. Like awfulness. Nobody's going to want to be around you. And he was like, that's fine.
I'm cool with that as long as I stop coughing.
And they're chatting. And then she turns around because she hears a noise, and she almost falls overboard backwards, feet overhead, because she's like, what the fuck is my Highlander husband wearing?
Oh, that's right.
Because he is in his full get up. He is in a plaid and ain't nothing else. And she's right. Oh my God. Alec was half naked. Alec was dressed like a barbarian.
Yeah, she almost goes ass over tea kettle. Yeah. Because she cannot handle the way he looks. And she's like, you're wearing a gown. And he's like, again, not a gown.
Not a dress.
When do you think you're going to get used to this? And she's like, I don't know if I ever will. Mm-hmm. So then, let me see. Okay, so word of her healing is spreading throughout the lands. And as a result, one of the ladies has a baby who is allergic to her milk. And they don't know about babies being allergic to the protein in their mother's milks in medieval times. And so this baby is just dying. It's like 3 weeks or 3 months. I don't know how old it is. And like the dad has like fucked off. Yeah, tell me everything.
You're going to war 2.
What? No, I'm going to war 1.
Previous war is giving Mary sanctuary.
I'm so sorry. You're absolutely
I was like, hang on a minute.
It's because Mary's involved in both of them, and so
she is involved in both of them. No, you're totally
she's a troublemaker.
But like, look at this: Fishbowl Jamie and Mischief Mary get bucked up together, and so they're doing their thing. And so what's his butt? Alec
Daniel
is running off to go find the people that hurt Angus. And so he's going hunting. And of course, Jamie's like, oh my God, where are you? Like, what are you hunting? And he's like, people. And she's like, I only have 8 shillings left. Yeah. Oh God. Oh no. You can't murder. Well, she doesn't say this, but in her head, she's like, oh my God, he's going to make me poor. Like,
I know.
So he goes off hunting people, and then
Mary just shows up on her doorstep.
Mary just shows up because apparently Daniel's estate is only like an hour away. So it's not that out of the realm of possibility for Mary to pop up and be like, hey, sis, what up? So she rolls up, and he is, by the way, this is also the point where Alec learns that he has a horny little wife. And he decides to hold that over her head. And she's like, husbands kiss their wives before they leave. And he was like, they do when they wear my plaid.
Oh.
And she's like,
he wants her to wear the plaid. And she's being like, stubborn about it.
No, I'll wear your plaid when I love you.
Yeah, because she's not getting those words of affirmation. And so she's like, this motherfucker needs to woo me in some way. Like, you want me to wear your plaid? Woo me. And
give me a reason.
Yeah, he's like, my existence is the reason.
Yeah. Oh and then he's just I'm going to get her in my plaid by the end of the week if I just stop touching her. So.
Yeah, it's great. But this is also when she says, oh, hey, do you think it would be okay for me to just like reorganize the kitchens a little bit?
Yeah. Can I reorganize
because apparently
the kitchen?
Apparently the kitchen is like in a building that's way far away.
And you gotta go
and like the poor servants have to like go through 3-foot snow in the winter times to bring foods to people.
Honestly,
and it's bullshit.
What was the thought process there in the first place?
Dumb.
Like,
dumb is what it was. I mean, I get having the kitchen in a separate sort of like structure because of the smoke and the fire hazard.
Yeah.
But like, why would you put it's a mess. And she agrees. So she is thinking to herself, I can move an entire building. And she tells,
you remember, because Alec has told her, you're not going to do anything. We're going to get those calluses off your hands. But if you remember, she feels like she is unlovable unless she is useful. And he's like, I don't want you to be doing anything, because he wants her to live a life of luxury now. So they are completely at odds, and their communication is fully broken down.
And she's begging him for duties.
Give me a thing to do. Please, Alec. And he's like, no, we're getting those calluses off your fingers, you pretty little princess. Come on now. Go lay down and take a nap like a good little wife. And she's like, give me a project.
Yeah. So she's like, I promise I won't do anything. I'll just direct people to do stuff. And he's like, okay, I guess. Like, that's fine. You can do stuff to the kitchens. So he leaves. Then Mary shows up and she's like, Daniel is mean. Daniel has a mistress. Daniel doesn't love me. He hasn't touched me. It started as him saying, like, I want you to feel comfortable and, like, get to know me or whatever. But now I think it's just because he doesn't like me and I'm miserable. And, like,
can I stay with you? And Jamie's like, yeah, that should be fine. Let me go check real quick, though. So she goes and checks with Alex. She's like, hey, Mary's here. Can she hang out? And he's like, yeah, you don't, like, don't bother me with your sister's bullshit. Fucking, she can hang out whenever she wants to. And Jamie's like, bet.
Yeah. He keeps on being like, oh, the women's stuff is so superfluous and I don't need to mess with it. Don't bother me with her nonsense.
These inferior English women.
Yeah. And so she's like, yeah, Jamie, go get your suitcase. It's slumber party time, basically. So then Alec finds out when he gets home that, like, Daniel has declared war. Daniel's like, you stole my wife.
Because as far as Daniel is concerned, Alec has granted Mary sanctuary.
Yeah. And Alec doesn't know that Mary had run away from Daniel with no permission to go anywhere. She tricked his guards into letting her go. And, like, it's a mess. So then Alec goes and rides out to, like, meet Daniel.
Alone.
He goes alone.
Just him.
And Daniel is there with all his dudes. And he's like, how dare you give sanctuary to Marvin? And he throws a sword at him at the ground.
Snaps it into the ground, which is a, like, fight me, you cur.
It's a gauntlet. That's the one. And then he's like, and now it's your turn to throw something at me. That's the ritual.
And Alex just shrugs. He's like, no, we're not
Alex
letting.
Like hard pass.
Like, we're not going to let two little English women come back with, like, no. Also, like, why by the way, this is one of those points where I felt terrible for laughing as hard as I was. Because usually in books where there's jokes about, gross, ball and chain, I'm like, oh, God, come on now. But, like, this book, I think it's because they did not choose each other. This is literally.
And Mary earned it. Mary's a nightmare.
But so he's like, I don't want to fight you over her because then I have to keep her.
I don't want her.
I would
love for you to take her home.
Like, please come get her. And then they keep going back and forth because, like, Daniel is like, wait, that's true. You sure you don't want her? And he's like, Alec is like, no. And Daniel's like, well, I mean, like, do you want to do, like, a little fight anyway? Like, we could just have a fight for fun. And Alec's like, no, not really. And then Alec's like, he's like, I really don't want to fight you for it, though, because that's not a war I want to win.
No.
And Daniel's like, what do you mean you don't want to win? And why not? And Alex
That's
is
not
like,
a prize.
Why would
That's
I
a
want
punishment.
2 English women in my household? And then, and of course, then they're like, well, we're besties. And so, like, obviously we don't want to let women come in. And it was like a big, like, bro moment. And I had a lot of feelings about it. Like, they're like, wait, we're not going to let these ladies come in between. You're my dude. I love you. Except I don't tell you I love you because I'm an uncompassionate, unkind-hearted butthole. But also, like, I clearly have lots of feels. And then Daniel's like, well, what if I still want to get into a fight? And Alec is like, okay, I'll do that. Sure. But we have to change the rules. And Daniel's like, well, okay, what's the rules? And Alec is like, winner takes both brides. I was cackling.
Oh, my God. Yeah. So when they get to the courtyard, Mary is using Jamie as a human shield again.
Yep.
And Alec is like, we're not doing this. Like, get over here, wife. And so she like reluctantly goes over. And Daniel just picks Mary up and like puts her over his saddle
and
starts riding away.
And Jamie's like, wait, what about her horse? And Alec's like, she ain't gonna need her horse.
I don't care. Mm-mm.
She don't need that horse. She ain't leaving again. Like,
yeah. And she's like, I can't just stand here and let him treat her that way. And he's like, oh no, you absolutely can. And like, that is what's going to happen. So it's ultimately fine. And then the second war is the healing spreads everywhere.
Ooh,
and this lady wants to save her baby. Yeah. The McPherson Laird's wife, Lady McPherson, has a sick baby who's allergic to the protein in her milk. And so she doesn't know what to do because it's like the only thing you feed babies. So she takes the baby to Mary because this is one of those clans that's a friend of Daniel, but is an enemy to Alec.
But so Jamie is magical healing. Mary. And so she's like, I don't give a fuck. I need this baby. My baby's going to die.
Yeah. And like, meanwhile, her husband is doing that apparently Scottish thing where he's just like in the hills mourning a baby that's not dead yet. So
these people, oh my God, what? Stop burying your living people.
Please. Stop it with your man feelings. Just like confront them. Stop running away. So Mary brings that baby over to Jamie. And Jamie immediately figures out that, like, it's the breast milk. She puts that baby on goat's milk and, like, all is right in the world. That baby gets so
and that baby's
and
there
happy.
For a couple of days. And, like, I do gotta say, like, so this man is for date. Like, how long do you think? I gotta ask, how long do you, because, okay, so before I ask this question, baby is a fat, happy, sassy little thing. And it's just all, like, gooded up on that good goat's milk. And it's there for a couple of days, and all of a sudden, Jamie hears some hollering in the courtyard.
Big hollers.
And she's like, what is happening? So she goes outside.
And she's just put the baby down for a nap.
Yeah, so she goes outside, and she's like, whoa.
She's like, what's happening right now?
What's happening?
And he's like, give me my dead.
Give me my dead. And she's like, what the fuck is this
Who
dude
the fuck
talking
died?
about? Like, who's dead? So Laird McPherson.
And Gavin is so funny because Gavin's like, he thinks that baby's dead. And then Laird McPherson's like, you stole my baby and I want its corpse. Give it to me.
And like,
I'm a corpse needer.
How long do you think? So now I'll ask my question. How long do you think?
I think it's 3 days that he was horse camping.
But yeah, so like he gets back though. How long do you think it took him to even realize baby not around? You think like he's like, wasn't there a reason I was out there being sad?
Being sad and
in
alone?
The mountains? What was
did you already do the funeral? I don't understand.
Oh yeah, there was a baby. Hey, where did that baby go? Like, how do you think that conversation went? Like, oh, I took the baby to your enemy.
Well, but it's also like, it's so confusing because it's very clear that Laird McPherson and his wife have definitely gotten some sort of wires crossed. And I wonder if it's because like his wife was just terrified once
his wife doesn't know that the baby's alive.
No, because she didn't go with it. But she's like, but Laird McPherson is under the impression that baby has been kidnapped by the Kincaids. Like, they came in masks and, like, in the dead of night and stole that dying baby.
Laird McPherson, what are we going to do with a dead baby?
Why do we want a dead baby?
What, like...
Like, that's sad.
Well,
that's big sad times.
Where...
I don't want to introduce that to my environment if I don't really have to.
Well, on top of that, like, if I'm going to steal a human off of your lands, I'm going to steal a human that can do something for me.
Totally.
And maybe that's heartless of me to say, but, like, if I was an 1100s warring laird, I'm not taking your sickly baby.
No. So, yeah, so he's, like, bellowing, and she's like, just hold up. I'll be right back. And he's like, yeah, you go get that corpse. And he's like riding back and forth in front of the house. Yeah, being like, I need that baby.
He's just a pacing little, he's like.
Yeah, he's on his horse too. And so he's like making his horse trot around. It's ridiculous. So she gets the sleeping babe and, you know, it's all like wrapped up and it's so cute. And she comes down and he's like, give me it. And she's like, stop.
Hey, I just got this baby to go to sleep. You need to shut your pie hole, sir.
If you ruin all the work I did to relax this baby to sleep, there will be hell to pay. And he does not understand. So he just keeps on yelling like, don't you tell me what to do. And then finally the baby wakes up. And then Laird McPherson is very confused. But at that point, he's like, you still need to apologize for stealing my baby. And she's like, I'm not gonna, what are you talking about? And also like, get off Kincaid Land and you do not get to come back until you have some manners.
Yeah.
She sets him down. Like she just goes in on him. And then he's like, no, you're going to tell me sorry for doing this kidnap. And she's like, I absolutely am not. And like, if you don't leave, I will make you leave. And then one of his soldiers
puts his hand
pull out his sword.
He doesn't even pull it out. He just puts it on the pommel. And she whips out her dagger and she's like, I dare you.
I dare you. Meanwhile,
I will get there. Oh, one of my favorite quotes in the entire book is she looks at him and so when the soldier on the left of the laird reached for a sword, Jamie pulled her dagger from the sheath in her belt. She turned to the soldiers, took aim and said, you'll take your hand away from your weapon or you'll find my dagger in your throat before you draw your next breath. And when I cause an injury, I don't repair it. And I was like, Jamie, babe.
Badass.
Because she's a healer. She could heal. Well, maybe not a dagger to the throat, but
listen, like, she could at least elongate his life.
She could do some healings, and she's like, guess what? I do that to you.
No,
you ain't coming
back.
When
I injure you, I mean it.
And I'm not fixing it.
There's no takesies backsies on that one. Yeah, and so then Laird McPherson is like, and now you pull a dagger on my men. Like, this is war. Meanwhile, he's like letting his horse try to bite the shit out of her shoulder and stuff.
Oh, yeah, she smacks his horse. And he's like, how dare you smack my horse? And she's like, oh my God, they really do give more of a shit about their horses. Like, it's, because he says it's one thing to hit my wife.
No, because she tells him, you only feed this baby goat's milk. And he's like, it's gonna take my wife's milk or nothing. And she's like, no.
She straight up grabs that baby back.
Yeah. I'm not letting you kill that baby with human milk. And he's like, are you saying bad things about my wife? She's like, what? No.
And then Horsey's like, hung.
Yeah. And she's whacks it.
And he's like, you say what you want about my wife, basically. But you say what you want about my wife, but hit my horse? How dare you? Nobody. And she's like, I'm fucking done.
I know. She's like, oh my God. And then they look behind her shoulder and like Alec is now standing there with all of his men. And they're like, cool. We're gonna regroup later, but it's war. And so now she's like, oh, fuck stick. Alec is going to think that I am to blame for this. Well, no, she's like,
I know.
Like,
And so he's like, let me talk to her. And he's just like, he's so proud of her, actually. He's like, I love you. Well, He does not say that.
He does not say that.
But he's got those heart feelings. And he's like,
and he does love that she was like so fierce about her territory.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because she's loyal to the Kincaids. And he's like, so tell me what happened here. And she's like, I don't want to tell you. And he's like,
because it involves Mary.
And he's like, I fucking bet it does involve Mary. So then she gives a little story about like Mary getting the baby and bringing the baby and all of these things. And Alec is like, my God, Daniel needs to lock her up. Like,
yeah.
Put that bitch in a room and throw out the key. Because, like, she keeps getting into shit.
And, like, we're not even halfway over with the shit that happens. So then he's like, oh, no. He finds out about the literal hole in the back of his great hall. Because he didn't realize that reorganizing the kitchen did mean moving the whole building to the back of the great hall.
Because so he walks into the room, or so he still doesn't know about the hall room at this point, because she's like, okay, I'm gonna go off and do my thing, and he's like, okay, I'm going into the great hall, and Gavin's like, I don't know that you maybe you should.
Well, they're like, yeah, we haven't let her pick up any of the large stones or anything. The men have been doing all that. And he's like, what? And why then it would only take her like an hour to rearrange the kitchen. Yeah, and Gavin's like, oh. And Alex says, what did she do? And he goes, she did exactly what you gave her permission to do.
Mm-hmm. You'll see. It's a pleasant surprise. Don't want to spoil it. I'll just leave that up to you.
Yep. So then Father Murdoch comes out and is like trying to he's trying to like smooth the way, basically.
Well, and he's also like, Alex, what do I do with these coins? What do I
that's right.
do with money? What do I do? And he's like, so Alex like, oh, the woman's daft. And he's
because after he came back from that, he was just back from that hunting humans trip. And so she said, how many people did you kill?
I need a number. And he's like, I don't know, 6, 7,
5 or
8.
6,
I don't fucking know. And she's like,
is it 6 or 7 or 8?
Number. Give me a number. And finally he's like, okay, I guess 7 probably. Meanwhile, in his head, he's like 17.
It had more more than that. Yeah.
But he's like 7. I killed 7. So she goes,
and so then
skedaddling off into the hall, because she keeps all of her coins, because she had originally asked, and this is a thing that comes back. She had originally asked him. She's like, "Where can I put my money, babe? Like, where can I put my coins?" And he was like, "I don't know, the box on the mantle, I guess. Like, just shove it in there."
Because that's where he's kept his coins.
Yeah, because like he doesn't use coins, and so she like goes and gets the coins, and she comes over to Father Murdoch, and she 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is for the 7 murders. And actually, I'm going to give you one more. I'm sure he's done something.
So then Father Murdoch is like, what the fuck do I do with all these coins? And Alex like, oh man, she's really worried about her soul, isn't she? And he's like, no,
it's your soul.
Your soul.
And he's like, oh God, but just put them in the box on top of the mantle. And so
now she's just recycling shillings for his soul. It's so cute. Oh no.
It gave me so many feelings, because she just keeps and goes and
it's amazing.
Because Father Murdoch just starts putting, every time he gives her, she goes in, she scuttles up to the mantle, she gets a shilling out, she goes over to Father Murdoch, and she's like, this is for Alec. And Father Murdoch's like, oh, thank you, darling. And then she meanders off, and he's like, tip, 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 puts back in box.
So then Alec goes inside, and she comes up, she's about to go inside, and she hears his bellow, because he sees what has happened to the Great Hall. And so Father Murdoch's like, you're going to come with me. We are going to go to a place for a couple of hours and just like let him cool off a little bit. And she goes, Father Murdoch, have more faith in your laird. He told me because he would never raise his voice to me. He would never lose his temper with me.
And up until now, there have been so many scenes where he doesn't. Like he has purposefully provoked her into yelling at him and pushing his buttons and insulting him and all of these things. And he's done it purposefully because every time she does that, there have been a couple of times where he's like, and did I yell at you? Did I get mad at you? Like, have I like gotten up in your guff about any of it? And she's like, well, no, you're right. So she trusts him now. She trusts that he will not get mad and yell at her and that they will talk about it. Well, that was before there was a giant hole in the fucking Great Hall.
In the castle. So she goes in and like there is a line of soldiers basically like lined up for the principal's office waiting to talk to
oh my
Jamie.
God, they are waiting to
Alec.
tattle on me. They're waiting to tattle. They're going to tell him all about how I did all of this stuff and all of these
she gives him
things.
big glares.
And he's just like head in his hand on the table, like looking down, just listening while these soldiers are talking to him.
And so she's like, Alec, I really want to explain. And he's like, you're going to leave my sight right now. She's like, no. I really think you're going to understand once I...
And then he yells. And he's like, out! Get out! Just and then he stops himself. But the damage is already done. So he's yelled at her, out! Just get out! And then he's like...
And she goes over...
Leave me alone.
She just stops. And then she walks over to the box. She grabs a shilling out. And she very quietly, with tears in her eyes...
walks out of the Great Hall, and then so she goes up to Father Murdoch, and she gives him the shilling, and Father Murdoch's like, what is this for? And she's like, Alec lied.
He lied to me.
Oh, God.
And then she has to go get Wildfire because
she's going back to England.
She's taking it literally.
He said, get out, and she was like, well, England's out.
I'm going to get out of Scotland.
Yep.
That's what I'm going to do.
And of course, if you remember, she has terrible sense of direction. So she hops on this pony and then she's like, well, the castle's up. So England must be down. And
she's right about that.
She is.
But so she goes riding and riding and riding. And then she hits this pasture, like a
meadow,
just like a field
plain,
kind of thing. Yeah.
A highland. I don't know.
Yeah.
A highland.
And she sees like a small child boy, a boy child.
And he's standing real weird.
Yeah, he's looking intently at a bush. And the bush is doing a rustle that is fairly ominous. So then all of a sudden, a big ass betusked boar comes out and it's going to gore that boy child to death. So she kicks Wildfire into gear.
And she full on swoops that little boy up. And she thinks to herself, she's like, God, I really hope that I successfully can pick this child up. And she does that like thing you see in every like medieval movie on the battlefields where they put and the westerns with the horsey horse, and they put their arm down and they scoop them up and sling them on the back of the horse and just take off. Yeah. So they do that. They get away from the boar, and then they go around a sharp turn or something like that, and they both go tumbling off. So now her dress is ripped. She's got bruises and scrapes all over her, and she's talking to this little boy, and she's like, so who are you?
What you doing, little boy child?
He's like, I'm Lindsay. And she's like,
don't tell anyone I'm here.
I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be hunting. And
I'm not supposed to be on Kincaid land because my clan is against Kincaid's. And she's like, I am the laird's son.
And she's like, oh, who's your clan? And he's like, Lindsay. I was like, oh, so we have Jamie Jameson and Lindsay. All right. All right. At least there's some.
Yeah, good talk.
Yeah.
Good talk. So then
they hear
he's like, I gotta go home because
we hear Alec coming too.
No, yeah.
And she's like, you better go. Especially if you're not supposed to be here, you better go. And
so he fucks off hard.
And then Alec fucks in.
Oh yeah. In more ways than one.
Oh yeah.
So Alec and his fucking black stallion come into that pasture, and he just stops and just takes in her visage because he's successfully found her, and his heart might quiet a little bit now that he can see her. But then he notices that she's all scratched up and her dress is torn and there's mud places. And he's like, who did this to you?
And she's like, nothing. I just fell. I fell off my horse.
You know, she's like, I fell. There's like a boar. Listen, it doesn't. I'm a really good writer. Alec, like, you're not listening to me. It doesn't matter. And then he's like, you don't ever leave me again. And he like, she's like, you yelled at me.
He's like, why did you like, he's like, why did you leave? And she's like, well, you lied to me. And
you told me to get out.
Temper. And so I went out. And he's like, well, what's the problem? And she's like, what has happened? What's the problem here? And she's like, you embarrassed me. And a husband shouldn't yell at his wife.
No, in front of other people, like we can have serious talks in private, but like you're gonna try to yell at me in front of people? Absolutely not, because I would never do that to you. And so then she goes, and Alec, like, honestly, I'm having a really hard time. I know that all of your soldiers were lined up to tell on me because nobody likes me, and I had nothing to do,
and he's
and
like,
I can't be useful.
Jamie, the soldiers were waiting to have their chance to defend you.
Yeah.
They're as loyal to you as they are to me. His voice in this moment was a gruff, affectionate whisper, and my heart grew 3 sizes that day. I had a lot of feelings, and then this is when he brings it out. He's like, your dress is torn, and she's like, I fell off my horse, she admitted, and he said, I know. Now he sounded forlorn, and I was like, oh God. I'm not a McPherson, but I've definitely got something in my throat. I can't breathe.
It's so good. And so then he's like, does he say something about like kissing to make up? She says something about kissing to make up.
She says, Alec, when a husband and a wife have had a disagreement, they usually kiss after they've made up. And he says, the wife is wearing her husband's plaid, though. Alec pointed out. Still, I wouldn't break my word if she wasn't wearing anything at all. And then, boy, howdy, that's a loophole, and they get some naked times.
It is against the tree sex.
It is against the tree sex. It's in my tag. I have a tag for sex location against a tree, and bet this book is in there.
Absolutely. Like, and he hits his knees in front of her so that he can go down on her before he does against the tree sex.
He does a little bit of
a standing cunnilingus.
Yes.
Is what he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like,
great stuff.
it's like described. He's like holding her up by her hips. He's also like fingering her while she's doing this. He's
definitely also.
Can I tell you something? Every sex scene I ever read. You know how there are certain things that just immediately, like, they don't necessarily take you out, but you clock it. You're just, you are aware of it. One of those things is a dirty hand in an orifice. Any orifice. If it's a mouth, if it's a puss, if it's an anus.
I hear that. No, he has horse all over his hand.
I'm sure he has a lot more than horse. There's no way that they are bathing daily. Like, I
wish, listener, that you could see the way that disgust is making Sabrina blink like a broken cupie doll. It's incredible.
I notice it in literally any time somebody is like, I put my hand in them, or anything where there's penetration. Immediately my brain starts going through, because I told you timelines are important to my brain.
Yeah.
And I start going, I'm like, when is the last time this person could have feasibly washed their hands?
I mean, to be fair, it's still like 9:30 in the morning somehow.
If that. Because like, this is,
y'all,
listener, this is the day that never ends.
This is the longest day I've ever experienced in my life.
This is the day that gave me whiplash.
Yes.
But like, I did have that when he was like, I'm gonna do the flicky on the cunny and the penetration with the fingers, and I was like, that is a bacterial infection.
I mean, thank goodness vaginas are self-cleaning, you know? It comes in handy, especially in medieval Highlander times.
It is rough to have a sensitive pH balance in 1100 Scotland.
I mean.
I would.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah.
It would be rough. It would be rough.
Yeah, especially because
for her.
It is
a big sex.
It is a big sex.
Yeah,
it was
TM.
A good sex, too.
Yeah.
It was a hottie. Because, like, it was just, I don't even have words. Just read the book.
And notable in this sex scene, a notable, like, emotional level up is that, like, right before he's about to come, he makes her promise to never leave him again. And, like, he cannot come until she promises to never leave him again. It's great. Oh, it's the best. And then afterwards, after he comes, it says that for the first time, he knew what it was like to be content.
Oh, God.
This scene, wow.
So for all of the refusal to admit feelings to each other, there were some really good lines that, like, I read them and
No, Julie Garwood shows us the feelings. It's great. This
is a good example of show, don't tell.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, Lord knows, if you listen to their words, these people do not like each other.
It's incredible. I mean, it's delightful.
Love it.
So they get home and she's like, I'm gonna go back to the house.
Uh-huh.
She's like at the stable where she's been before. Mm-hmm. And like somehow she does get lost and she goes the wrong direction. And so she's like, I may as well just pop in and say hi to the blacksmith since he's there.
Yeah.
And then while she's talking to the blacksmith, she's like, can I go check out some of the huts? Like, can I go say hi to some of the tenants? And he's like, they're all going to be like at their nooning meal. So nobody's going to be there. And she's like, can I still just like go look at their houses anyway?
What a mood. Me too. What? Can I go be nosy as fuck?
I mean, but like out loud and proud. You know what I mean? And he says they'll be honored that you were interested. And I'm like, where did I leave my underwear? Like, you need to tell me if you want to come over.
Well, see, that's the thing.
Especially if I'm not home.
That's the thing is, I don't want you to come to my house. I just want to voyeuristically go wander your house. I want to go look at everybody else's houses. But yeah, so she just goes like meandering, and so she's like looking in the cutter's hut, and she's looking in all these places
tannery.
And meandering, and she's going uphill to all these places.
She's picking flowers,
and then the little flowers, the roses. That's important because there's some very vivid imagery with roses in this scene because she gets to the tannery.
Really important. Mm-hmm. Well, and there's really important stuff that she's been doing with flowers the whole time that nobody knows about. Anyway, she gets to the tannery and there's rose imagery.
Oh my God, I hadn't put that together.
Yeah.
That's why she keeps picking flowers. My heart. Mm-hmm. Oh, my heart. So she gets to the tannery and she is peeking inside when she gets a shove. And she slams onto her knees into this thing. Her flowers go flying and the door slams. And then she's like, what? Huh? What is happening? And so
she's not worried at all.
No, she's like, oh man, the wind. They're going to give me so much shit for this, which they would, but in a different universe.
Smokes.
And she can't get that door open. And it's pitch black in there. And it starts getting hot.
And then the roof is on fire.
And it is now so on fire that she can see what is happening. Like, she can see the room now. And the rose that she's holding, she watches the petal wilt and, like,
singe.
Binge.
Yeah.
Burn.
Singe.
You said singe. My brain was like, we can make that one word.
Yeah.
And then she starts coughing. Sabrina. And while all of this is happening, as she's dying, she's like, I can't believe Alec isn't here to save me yet.
She's so fucking pissed. She's like, I am going to have a word with him about being prompt. And like, he didn't know that she was even going in this direction. It's so funny. But because she's like, she has no doubt. She's like, Alec's going to come save me. It's no problem. But then she does start inhaling more of that smoke.
And she gets worried.
Yeah. I mean, understandable.
Everybody down in the rest of the castle starts smelling smoke, and they're like, "What is it? Like, what is happening?" And Alex like, Jamie!
It says Jamie heard a roar. And she was like, oh, okay, we're fine now. Everything's going to be fine. And she's right. So Gavin and Jamie come up and they see that the door is barred.
Mm-hmm.
It's
got a gigantic... Let me tell you, it's got a gigantic piece of timber propping that door shut. And let me tell you, I'll bet that's part of the reason I did not suspect the person I should have been suspecting. Because how the fuck is that person supposed to lift up that piece of wood and block in that door?
I know.
Also,
it's adrenaline strength, I think.
Also, like, I feel like that door would have been an inward opening door. But like,
listen, we can't mull it too much.
Fine.
You know,
it's fine. I did have that thought though. I was like, I feel like outward opening doors in places where you apparently get 3 feet of snow. That's a bad
idea.
That's a bad way to plan a building. Yeah. Like, especially one without windows, apparently, because it's pitch black in that building. So like.
Oh my God. So they get in and it says that he carried her out just before all of the walls collapsed. And she's like, it's not my fault, everyone. The wind did hit the door closed. And then I heard this weird windy sound that was like
like laughter. But it was the wind. Was it?
And they're both like, she's like, you don't think it was me, right? And Gavin's like, absolutely not. We don't think it was you. There was and Alex like, we're not telling her anything about that. So then they give her a bath and like, he's like, you're going to go to bed. You're going to take a nap. And she's like, I don't need a nap.
Oh, but then she's like,
tell me.
You took your sweet time coming after me, Kincaid.
Oh,
and he's like, the hell I did. I ran like Satan. And she goes, I'm not so insignificant to you after all. Am I? He didn't answer her until they'd reached the castle doors. No, you're not.
Oh, it's so good.
So cute. I love it.
It's so cute.
I love it so much.
It's so good. Oh, shit. Yeah, so he's like, you're going to take a nap because you've had a very big morning. Like, all this shit you fought a boar.
So he gives her a bath.
Yeah.
All these, and then he lays her down on the bed, which this is important that the bed is covered by a plaid. Because then he crawls up and he snuggles up on top of her in his plaid. And she gets a little bit of hoardy pants.
Yeah. And he says, Jamie, you're wearing my plaid. She's like, I really don't think I am. And he's like, you're laying on a plaid?
She's like, I'm not wearing
anything. And you're covered in my plaid.
Let me be your plaid witch. Let me be your plaid witch.
I will be your plaid witch.
And it is on TM.
It's so on. She goes down on him for the first time.
Uh-huh.
She's like, I want to touch you the way you touch me. She does put that penis in her mouth.
She does. She gets him all the way up to that edge.
Well, and he's like, when I entered her heat, it was like too much. Oh my God. Yeah. And so she gets him all the way up to the edge. And then he
no. And he like takes her head off and he flip-flops her down. And then he enters that passage.
Oh.
And he just,
he bombards it. He does one of those barricading the castle. I'm gonna hit you with a
castle.
Trunk. That's the one, trunk of a tree thing. What's that called, I wonder?
I can't remember. It's called
It's a hitter stick. I'm going to hitter stick you.
What was it? He's ciphering. Nope.
I'm going to just hit you in the cervix.
I am putting my penis in your vagina.
That's the one.
I'm doing.
Yeah, and it's good.
So, and they do, and then And then
And then
afterwards,
he falls asleep.
no, wait, Melody.
Oh no.
Wait, so
Oh, no.
afterwards, he's holding
rushing.
her and snuggling her. And by the way, up until now, we keep getting moments in his thoughts where he's like, I need her to love me. I want her to love me. I won't love her because she's property. But like, and I can't have that kind of distraction. But as he's laying there,
it's her duty to love me.
But as he's laying there, he goes, the full realization of why he wanted her love hit him like a blow. He was already in love with her. How in God's name had it happened?
How did it happen? When did it happen? How is he even capable of it? He's thinking. So
these
good.
little swoony lines like that. Because at this point, she's already admitted in her brain that she's in love with him. But she needs him to be in love with her. And like, it's this whole, and they just say the words, please. But also, so like, it's okay. Cute. I'll get it in your head because I'm in your brains. It's okay.
Yeah. And then he's just so content and tuckered out. He had sex
asleep
for 2 times in like, I don't know, what is it? An hour and a half, maybe? He falls asleep.
He does. He falls asleep in the middle of the day. But he wasn't going to fall asleep. This is to take care of her. He's snuggling her up.
That's right.
But no, she but then we get another scene with our creepy little cackly italic mofo who's like, I wasn't trying to kill her. I knew that she'd be saved, but I want to see his torment, not his anguish. I'll not finish the kill until tomorrow. Maybe the day after that.
If I can hold myself back or something. Bananas.
My God.
It's great.
Melody, I'm just thinking about how much more scenes there are.
No, this is the end of episode 2. Oh, we're an hour and 45 minutes in.
There's no way. Holy shit.
I know.
How in God's name had it happened?
How did it happen?
How have we turned this book into the 3 episodes?
I mean, the only answer is easily Sabrina. Okay,
this is like straight up. This is the Outlander series in 353 pages. This is the whole series.
Yes, it's so good.
Okay. Well,
it's so good. Well, excellent. Here we go. We will see you for episode 3, listener. This is the latest Devil in Winter, I guess.
Is that the only?
It's the only one I can think of.
Wow.
That's gone into 3 episodes.
Okay.
So yeah, there might be more. I have a Swiss cheese memory.
I do too.
You know,
I do
who
too.
knows?
So anyway,
okay.
I guess.
What's your lady love?
Frozen pot stickers. If I don't feel like cooking, those puppies can go right into the air fryer. Those puppies can go right into the Instant Pot. Either or. If you like them steamed, if you like them crispy, you just pop those.
I've never thought about putting them in the air fryer.
My lady love is frozen pot stickers.
Nice.
And not a reasonable amount of them. I probably ate 20 of them for dinner. Probably 25.
As you should.
Just piled those puppies in.
Yeah. You know what? One of my favorite things that Michael taught me was boiling. So boiling dumplings are like the frozen pot sticker situations. And then he is so smart because he would take a strainer and just like put a giant handful of spinach into it and then strain the dumplings by pouring it over the spinach. And then you put your rice vinegar and your hot bean sauce or whatever in all of that. And you've got the tastiest pot sticker plus blanched spinach treat you've ever had in your life. It also works with cabbage, but spinach is so good. Yeah. Isn't he? I know. Isn't his brain so hot? I know. Yeah. Sabrina's mind has been blown.
I love everything about that, and I have everything in my fridge to do that tomorrow.
Yeah. It's so good because especially if especially if you do the rice vinegar hot sauce combo, the way that the spinach interacts with the vinegar is just like earthy and tangy and delicious. Oh, it's just so
That sounds
so
incredible. That sounds amazing. And then you can even still like have your dip because like usually for pot stickers, I mix mirin, a little bit of rice vinegar, and amino acids instead of soy sauce. And that's what I do instead of just like the pot sticker sauce that comes with, which it's tasty, but I usually do.
But it's really sweet usually.
Yeah. And so I do I like it a little bit tangier. And so like the thought of like being, I'm not even hungry right now, and I want more
but
pot
you want to
stickers.
try it.
I've already eaten like 30 of them.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
okay,
what's your lady love?
Okay, my lady love is kind of self-serving, but I'm very genuine about it.
Huh?
This is going to come out on May 8th, I believe, which means it's in the very center of the Dangerous Tides Kickstarter. And like, I don't know like how I don't know how to explain to people how good these books are. Like C.M. Discosta's book is basically like a retelling of Gentle Rogue, except also monsters. And it's somehow cozy and beautiful and funny and delicious. And then there's also vor. And like, how does she do that? I mean, Naima Simone's book is all about this awesome, like, lady is getting married. She's like a big, powerful business lady, and she's doing basically an arranged marriage. But as she's at the altar, the groom's brother, who happens to be a notorious pirate, swoops in and kidnaps her to like hurt his brother and his family. And then there's a threesome with his Viking second mate. Like I can't. They go on a treasure hunt together, basically.
I'll bet they do.
Throughout the whole thing. In more ways than one. Yeah. Oh my God. Jenny's, there's a berserker as the hero. And he's sort of looking, I know, he's a pirate captain berserker whose arranged marriage wife has like fled from him, and he's been looking for her since then. And in the time that she's been away from him, she's like turned into a badass pirate captain on her own. Like these books. Andy J. Christopher is a witch. It's Formula One fanfic, but pirate times. The hero is modeled after Lewis Hamilton. I didn't know I needed a Lewis Hamilton in my life, but like Google him, because wow, there is a spiteful public hand job in chapter 3. Okay. The not safe for work vellum for that one is the most gleeful spanking I've ever seen in my life. Like, I found out I'm into breeding kink when I read her manuscript. Like, I don't.
You're just recently into breeding. Wow, I have so many books for you.
I didn't know it was gonna like work that well.
Yeah, if it's done right. Like, and I'll bet she does it right. Yikes. I'll bet.
Katie's is like a sapphic, beautiful. There's a plus size princess heroine who kidnaps herself in order to get the attention of her like teenage love, who has turned into a pirate captain. And their agreement was that the pirate captain was going to like come back after making a name for herself and like get the princess, but she never does. So she kidnaps herself to get to her love, and shenanigans ensue. I'm so proud of everything that we've put together. The books are incredibly good. Everything that like was designed around it makes my heart sing. There's like, we had custom metal chalices that are the size of shot glasses made that have a mermaid sitting on a beer stein on one side and then like the bonkers pirate ship on the other side. I'm just a pagan slop with this thing. So I think my lady love is 2 parts. Like, one, God, try to make your job just like give you life if you possibly can. Because I've done that and it's amazing. And then also, I don't know, like just go peruse that Kickstarter and see if you're into it. Because the other thing is, you can get the ebooks like 5 months, I think, before they come out in retail. And they're so good. Anyway,
I was already
that's my
excited.
love.
And now you really ramped it up, baby.
I sent you that one from To Ravish a Rogue where she's
which
sitting
one's
on
that
his,
one?
That's CM Nascasta's. She's sitting on his lap and like there's a natural tit on that not safe for work art. Like that tit is beautiful. It has like stretch marks on it.
It's a good art.
It is.
I want to get these arts because I do have a wall. I call it my wall of fuck.
Yeah.
And it's all my horny art.
Yeah.
And I already have a lot of CM Nascasta on there. And so
it's exciting.
This just sounds beautiful. I'm so
it makes me so
happy for you.
Thank you. It's been like life-giving and it's been so fun. And I feel like you can feel that in the outcome. You know what I mean? Like, you can tell when a writer...
You can tell this is a project of joy all across the board.
God, it's just been so fun. And I'm just so happy. So anyway, 2 parts. I guess the most immediate one is like, I don't know, check out that Kickstarter. See what you think. All right. Keep being a badass.
And love yourself as much as you love knowing the right direction.
Oh, boy. This poor thing. This poor thing. She is so bad at
even more so. Love yourself as much as you love a endless box of shillings on the mantle for all of your husband's indulgences.
Oh my God. Love yourself as much as you love the sound of Sabrina's squeals as this idiotic hero who doesn't understand feelings, like, comes into his own.
Have I been that squealy? Am I that loud?
Ma'am, it was beautiful. It gave me so much happiness.
I love a swoon. Oh, yeah. I love it so much.
Yeah, everybody love yourself that much.
I love it.
Seriously, though.
Oh.